conducted.
Chewed a part of her intestine. Piece of lung floor, and he, probably figured it was a piece of meat or whatever. He just took it and started chewing it.
It was terrifying.
A neighborhood boy angrily knocking and lashing a whip at her door.
When I look on the doorbell camera, I can see,
his son opened fire on him.
It was all caught on the family's home security camera.
A message of love written on his clothing, but an assault rifle in his hands.
On this special edition of Tazzy TV, 21-year-old Tanisha Asias was murdered in Cali in the Bay. Lurch was convicted of her murder. Indulged in cannibalism. A part of her intestine was found.
And I feel everyone should know what happened to her.
X-ray was conducted.
Chewed a part of her intestine.
Big Lurch was a rapper from Dallas, Texas. He had songs with Mac Dre, Mystical, and E40. He moved to the Bay with his dad, where he met rapper Mac Mall. Mac Mall was Tupac's friend, E40, and B Legit cousin. Sway Calloway was his cousin as well. He got his big break when he featured on E40's album.
Learn about it.
He did a song with Mystical as well.
On the street with a Glock and my loons ain't to be played in this game.
He did a song with Mac Dre as well.
Life of a G.
His grandmother tells me he started drinking heavily. He got into a car accident where he was damaged severely in his nerves and his neck. He got hooked on pain medication in the hospital. He started using other drugs like PCP to ease the pain once he had his recovery.
I don't get high, but one night to the Hoodie Awards and all that, I'm with one of my big G homies. He's a legend, prison man. He smokes firm. Legend, a rider. And I want to fit in. I don't want to look like a punk. I done fit it before, but I don't powder. I don't do nothing. I smoke weed. I don't even drink.
September the 16th, I had a car accident. A drunk driver hit my car. When I got out, I couldn't walk or nothing. I was in a lot of pain. So what I did was I started smoking PCP times when I was younger and got that numbing feeling. So PCP as an anesthesia.
All this tension and all this shit, you know what I mean, led to, running the LA streets and with killers and smoking sherm with them.
I mean, all I can remember, the world and the devil and kill the devil before the world ends. That's the last thought.
Her boyfriend, he was a gang member. He the one set all this up. He had all her stuff ready to leave the day all this happened. I'll never forget, what happened to her. I don't believe he done that. I believe he probably was off on that PCP trip. He saw that piece of lung floor, and he, probably figured it was a piece of meat or whatever. He just took it and started chewing on it. Him, I don't believe that. The bottle was pulled down her throat. So because in her system, they said she could have smoked that much. She got hit in the back of the neck with one of the little kids' scooters because on the scooter. But they said they didn't know who that was. But it wasn't him.
We on Figueroa, we were heavily armed up in there. We had all kind of guns up in there. But when the police hit the spot, there wasn't no guns up in there.
There's evidence there like footprints, fingerprints on doors, bloody fingerprint. Shoe at the back, and it's like, where all this evidence go? DNA? They said DNA came up with
everything. So my paperwork and all that person that twisted me up, one of them, he owned the label and he was my lawyer. So I was slowed in a motherfucker. So when I'm in court, I don't know what's going on. I'm on howl dog. Not to take the stand or nothing. I was total twist.
serving a life sentence. According to the California Penal Code, voluntary drug users cannot plead not guilty by reason of only the effects of drug intoxication. There needs to be at least one other factor, such as an underlying mental illness.
There's a Kaufman County family telling CBS 11 they are unsettled after a neighborhood boy came to their front door and had a whip and used it several times.
The threat didn't stop there. Our Nick Starling spoke with the family.
A man shoots at his neighbor when he knocks on his door to complain about his kid,
Who wants the boy's parents to take responsibility.
Carissa Nash was home when this happened at her door.
It was terrifying.
A neighborhood boy angrily knocking and lashing a whip at her door.
When I look on the doorbell camera, I can see, he actually has a whip. So I just, swing the door open. I'm like, what's going on? You need to leave.
The family says this started Thursday after school when their daughter and the neighborhood boy were walking back home.
This one particular kid was hitting the girls with the skateboard, and she retaliated and hit him back. One of the other kids pushed him in some water, pushed him from behind. He fell into a puddle of water. When he got up, the first person he seen was our daughter, so he assumed that she did it.
They also claim this scratch on the car was also from the whip.
It's a deep scratch, and not something that you can fill in or buff away.
When Desiree Nash walked over to confront the boy's dad about this.
As soon as he opens the door, I see that he has a weapon behind his back, and he's leaning up against the doorway.
He tries to show the neighbor what happened, but told him to get away. After the discussion got heated, Nash says the neighbor fired off a shot.
Oh my God!
His daughter was standing behind him in the doorway. She could have easily been hit by the bullet. My wife could have been hit. I could have been hit.
Nash says then the cops arrived. Late Saturday, the Kaufman County Constable Precinct 2 confirms to CBS 11 News that neighbor was charged with deadly conduct because of reckless discharge of a firearm, and the man has since bonded out of jail. The Nashes just want this whole ordeal behind them and move on.
Hopefully he takes responsibility for it, and this whole situation, this whole situation boils over, hopefully, without any further consequences or anyone else getting hurt.
The Nashes tell us police are patrolling the neighborhood more because of this incident. We did knock on the neighbor's door to get a response. No one was home at the time. In Kaufman County, Nick Starling, CBS 11 News.
The neighbor has been identified, as you see here, as Brian Brunson. He's been charged with deadly conduct. As for the boy, the Kaufman County Constable says he is 9 years old and cannot be charged in the juveniles.
New at 6 tonight, a Coweta County father tells deputies he confronted his son about having a gun in his pocket. And he says rather than turn it over, his son opened fire on him.
It was all caught on the family's home security camera, as you saw there. Fox 5's Doug Evans has more on the story now from Coweta County.
Deputies say the surveillance video starts with Mario Clark leaving his father's house, the father behind him pointing a weapon at his son. The father then flinches, ducks, and runs for cover after a shot is fired in his direction. Deputies say the family shootout started when the 26-year-old Mario Clark arrived at his father's house with a gun in his pocket, a gun his father did not want in his house.
So the dad saw the imprint of the gun, which is an outline of the gun, in the son's clothing, and father did not want any firearms at his residence or the son to be in possession of them, so he was trying to disarm his son.
Deputies say when Clark would not surrender the gun, the father retrieved his own weapon. Deputies say the video continues with Mario Clark running back into frame, sprinting toward his father and firing shots. They say the father returned fire in an obvious fight for his life. The father then called 911.
Our patrol deputies were able to make contact with the male outside of the residence and were able to detain him. He still had the firearm on him at that time.
Deputies say the father acted in self-defense and is not facing charges. Not so for his son. Mario Clark was booked in here to the Coweta County Jail on a charge of aggravated assault. In Coweta County, Doug Evans, Fox 5 News.
The Casanova robber robs the gas station with an AR-15.
Peachtree City Police are on the lookout for a man who robbed a convenience store early Monday morning with a message of love written on his clothing, but an assault rifle in his hands. Fox 5's Doug Evans reports.
It happened at the Circle K convenience store at Crosstown Road and State Highway 74. It was early Monday around 2 a.m. A man carrying what police described as an AR-15 style rifle held up the clerk. Police say the choice of weapon is very unusual, but focus in on his clothing. He's wearing a hoodie with the slogan, "Love Never Fails." Here's a further description of the man.
6 feet, very light-skinned, black male, kind of slender build. If you've got that build that matches that exact sweatshirt, again with just the "Love Never Fails" up on the breast portion of the hoodie, then yes, it's worth a phone call, and we'd be very interested into speaking with and identifying that individual.
The clerk was shaken but unharmed. The back of the man's hoodie also has that same phrase written in larger letters. Police say it's actually a fairly common garment that is sold on the internet, but they're hoping that it could be the obvious clue in helping them to solve the case.
One red light south of our police department at that time of night, highly traveled, at least by our night shift officers. As one of the very few 24-hour locations, our officers are in and out of that store quite frequently as well. And a very bold move given the type of weapon used, and could have gone wrong in a bunch of different ways.